So speak life, when the sun won't shine and you don't know why. Look into the eyes of the broken hearted, watch them come alive as soon as you speak hope, you speak love, you speak life.
Welcome to Dealing with Life. Very glad to have you along. Hopefully your day is completely blessed. I'm Tome Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, a book about life, trust, and worry through the eyes of a dog. This is a show that features guests who have gone through issues, have gone through struggles, and found victory and found a deepened faith through their struggles. God showed his face in sometimes the most odd ways, but the most hopeful ways. And we also feature guests who have been called to help others. And that's what today is about. In the studio with me today is Les Fout, Executive Director of the Provision Cares Foundation. Nice to have you.
Well, thanks for having me, Tom.
I'm a big believer in the Provision health system and proton therapy and all the things that Provision stands for. And you and I have known each other for a little bit. I've helped a donor, made a donor video for you guys and really found out what Provision Cares is all about. And I'm intrigued. And you help so many people. And that's why I wanted to have you on today, to help everybody understand what this is. Give us a global view, Les, of what Provision Cares Foundation is.
Okay. Provision Cares Foundation is an East Tennessee-focused charity, and not-for-profit, that focuses on early detection, education, wellness, research, and patient assistance programs for not just the cancer patients, but their families as well.
Okay, gotcha. One of the things that is so popular that I didn't before I knew you didn't tie together is EdiCheck. EdiCheck is something that has helped so many people with early detection. Give us a touch of what EdiCheck is and how people do it.
Sure, we're thrilled to be partners with EdiCheck. EdiCheck is not our event; it's really the region's event. It was started by Nisus Corporation, a company located in Blount County, by a gentleman named Kevin Kirkland. His father is Eddie. Eddie was president of Nisus Corporation and was diagnosed with prostate cancer, was healthy as can be. Shortly thereafter, another employee from Nisus was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And these are healthy men, and Kevin realized that men needed to really do a better job in their screening process. Women do such a great job of their monthly reminders, their buddy checks, and that kind of thing.
Right.
And men just don't. I don't know what it is.
We think we're healthy, and that's all there is.
Yeah, and lots of people are hesitant to go to the doctor, or they don't want the full exam, if you will. And so what EdiCheck does is, typically in any given year, we'll have 13 or 16 different locations throughout East Tennessee, and men over the age of 40 can go and just give just a little blood, or they can donate fully. We partner with Medic. It's a Medic blood drive.
Okay.
And it's typically the week of those big rivalry weeks, either between East Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, and Florida, or the University of Tennessee and Kentucky. And so these blood drives are going on all around East Tennessee. But this special one, it's every September, and men can go and get screened. And so you just give just a little bit of blood, and then what Provision Cares does is we fund the screening test.
So it's free.
It is free. People can just show up, and men can get screened. And a couple of weeks after that, once the lab sends out the results, and what they do is they send out, it will say that you're within a certain range for your age, or it may say that your PSA is elevated. And I've talked to men that feel like EdiCheck saved their lives. And that's a wonderful feeling, and why I do what I do, but it's also sad that You just think of all the other men that could have shown up that day that maybe they find out that they're diagnosed with prostate cancer a little too late.
Right. And it's one thing, when a guy feels good, you don't feel like you're sick, then doctor's out the window.
Absolutely.
And this is a wonderful thing to do it. So Provision Cares Foundation, that's one thing that is very high level, but one thing that is just amazing to me, absolutely amazing to me, is the patient needs assistance. And that means different things for different people. But the Provision Cares Foundation accepts donations, as many donations as possible, in order to help those who have cancer with funding. I think when somebody is diagnosed with cancer, and I don't know if anybody who hasn't been touched by cancer in some way, some form or fashion, whether it's themselves, family member, friend. And, the first fright of hearing that word cancer, of course, is your health. And then I think the second fright is, how in the world am I going to pay for this? So how does Provision Cares Foundation step in?
Well, first, I do want to mention, you talked about donations. We are fully supported by donations. We don't accept any government funds or even ask for government funds. We really believe in our region supporting us and investing in the work that we do.
Right.
And one of the programs you mentioned was Patient Needs Assistance. It's really a grant program. We have individuals or families that fill out a short application, 2 to 3 page application. We do require that a doctor signs off on it that, yes, John or Jane Doe is in fact a cancer patient. And that gets back to just being a good steward of people's money.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it's that 0.5% of people that might steal from a church or a charity that you do kind of have to look out for. And so we want to be good stewards of people's money, and we want to help people that do in fact need a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up. And we look at people's tax returns in confidence, obviously, but we want to make sure that it's not a wealthy person. Not that we won't help a wealthy person if they need it. We'll talk about the caring plate in a little while,
right?
And we'll serve anybody a nutritious meal if they need it. But patient needs assistance. We don't pay for medical treatment. A lot of people think we will. We won't. We pay for those ancillary costs. So whether that's housing, utilities, transportation, we provide gas cards. We had a young family. Hadn't heard from them in about a year, which is a blessing, but they received the news that no parent wants to hear that their young child had cancer. And so their child has got to be nearly 3 because they're a year younger than my youngest daughter. And so a young family reached out to us and said, hey, Children's Hospital, a great, great hospital here in East Tennessee that we're blessed to have, they had helped this child with their cancer diagnosis, but there was a specialist in Cincinnati at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. This child had a very rare form of cancer, and I don't remember the name and may not be able to pronounce it even if I did, Tom.
Right. But it was trouble.
It was trouble, and so they were needing to go up to Cincinnati. And at first they asked if we could rent them a car. Well, first I was like, I've never been asked that question. Usually we just provide gas cards, but they had one car, and talked to our pro bono attorney, and he was like, no, you can't do that. If they had a wreck, heaven forbid, it could devastate the charity in addition to potentially hurting them.
Right.
And so what we did, we funded their gas cards up there, and we connected them with the Ronald McDonald House up in Cincinnati, so they didn't have to pay for their lodging, nor did we. Again, what we try to do, and Jill Townsend, our social worker for Provision Cares, tries to do, is connect people with existing resources if we don't offer those programs, or if we already know something great is going on somewhere else, we do try to refer people, and other charities will refer them to us.
Okay.
But once they apply, we gave them gas cards. And then once they got back from Cincinnati, this young family, they let us know that they were going to have to go up there monthly And so we provided them gas cards for, I don't know, 6 or 7 trips back and forth because they really needed it. It was a young couple. I mean, I think he was 24 and she was 23, so now they're probably late 20s. But
it's just one less thing for them to worry
absolutely,
about.
Absolutely. I mean, it's difficult enough battling the cancer, but trying to figure out how you're going to get the gas to take your baby up to see a specialist that can help them.
Yeah, it's help. It's just a little bit of reassurance, and so many. How many people did you guys help last year?
We helped more than 1,600 families last year, whether that's through early detection or patient needs assistance, or through our meal program or gift bags. We've got a lot going on, hence the gray hair developing. But seriously, I mean, we try to, if there's an empty bucket we see in the cancer space, we try to fill it. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to duplicate services, hence the referring people back and forth.
Right.
We refer people to the programs that are existing, whether it's Cancer Support Community, Compassion in Action, Leukemia Lymphoma, American Cancer Society, and in turn, they refer people to us with programs that they don't have.
Wow. So it's a nice network.
It is.
I think the one thing that is so confusing, and I know you get asked this all the time, it's called Provision Cares Foundation. And mistakenly, people believe that you're only helping provision patients.
Absolutely. I would say that's probably the number one question I get is, do we only help provision proton patients or provision radiation therapy patients? And people ask me about proton therapy and do we pay for medical treatment? Well, first, as I mentioned, we don't pay for medical treatment for anyone anywhere.
Right.
Provision healthcare did start. Terry Douglas and that team did say there is a need in East Tennessee, and so we're creating Provision Cares Foundation. And they called. I had a great job. I loved what I was doing, but I received a call about this opportunity to really help build a regional cancer charity. And it was appealing for lots of reasons. Me, like everyone else, unfortunately, has been touched by cancer. I lost a grandmother to cancer. My mom's had cancer. I've had cancer. And so, 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women are going to get cancer sometime in their life. And it's just a horrible disease. But the opportunity to help build Provision Cares that transcends the politics of healthcare will help any person in East Tennessee battling cancer, regardless of where they get treated. That's the number one thing I want to get out to people. People think that we only help provision patients.
And that's not even the largest segment of who you help.
No, it's not. We added University of Tennessee Medical Center's Cancer Institute last year, and we about 55-60% of our services, our funding dollars goes to help UT cancer patients and their families throughout the region. Of course, they're a very large cancer center, have locations all around East Tennessee, and they do great work, and we're proud to partner with them.
And what a great service and a comforting thing that people say, oh, wow, they can help us do that. How incredible. This is Dealing with Life. We're talking with Les Fout, Executive Director of the Provision Cares Foundation. We have a lot more to cover because there's a lot more things that you guys do. We have just scratched the surface. Dealing with Life will return in just a moment.
You speak life. Oh, 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 oh. You speak life. God is on the move, on the move. Hallelujah. God is on the move today.
You're listening to Dealing with Life. Really, really glad to have you along. I'm Tome Baker, author of One Dog's Faith. That's a book about life, faith, and worry through the eyes of a dog. If you're a dog lover or a worrier or a little bit of both, I think you'll like it a lot. We're talking today on Dealing with Life with Les Fout, Executive Director of Provision Cares Foundation. Now, we've talked a little bit about what you guys do, and I want to continue on in the Patients Needs Assistance Program that you help so many people that are involved with cancer. And we'll start right off by saying that even though the name is Provision, you guys help everybody. You help people with cancer. And tell me a little more about the Patients Needs Assistance and what you do. And I know you have some stories of people you guys have helped.
Sure. We, again, try to fill in the gaps. We really look for what they need. If our social worker or if myself, if we visit with a patient from one of the 7 or so regional cancer centers.
And by the way, your social worker, Jill, she's not a social worker. She's an angel.
Yeah, absolutely. She's an angel to put up with me, but yes, she is an angel. She really is a blessing to have. We couldn't do what we do without her.
Right.
I mean, she refers lots of people to other social service programs, whether it's related to their health care or not. It may be something else.
Okay.
And so she does a great job. We had a gentleman who I'll say is a day laborer, kind of a handyman. I can't remember. I wouldn't share what his company name is anyway, but a handyman, somebody that I might call to help, whether it's the lights, the plumbing, putting up sheetrock, painting, anything like that.
Okay.
And lived about 30 minutes outside of Knoxville. I'm not going to say where because it's a small town, but he was driving every day to Tennessee Cancer Specialist to get chemo. And so with his job, and chemo makes a lot of people sick.
Sure,
it kills the cancer,
but it takes a lot out of it.
Takes a lot out of him, and he couldn't work for a stretch of about 2 months.
Wow!
And so that's how he came to be a recipient of Provision Cares. And so what we did, he lived in a mobile home. And he was renting that mobile home. And so what we did was we talked to his landlord, and we paid this gentleman's rent for about 3 months. It was a couple $100 a month. So it wasn't tons, but it was the difference between him potentially being homeless or not.
Yeah.
And so we don't want somebody to have to choose between getting their cancer treatment somewhere or being homeless or not eating or not having the lights on.
Just help fill in the gaps.
Absolutely. And so this gentleman... What's interesting, Tom, is a lot of these patients I never meet. I don't know who they are. They call, they'll talk to Jill, they'll send us the paperwork in the mail. So a lot of these people I don't even meet. And so, but I see their names. I know the impact that we make. And I know for several months we paid this gentleman's rent directly to his landlord. And so once he got healthy, he went back to work, and so he didn't need our help anymore. And so those are really the
story.
That's a success story. Those are blessings.
Yeah. So if someone listening right now is faced with cancer and all these questions of how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? How would they contact you?
They can get online, provisioncares.org, to go to our website, or they can give us a call at our office. That's 321-4589. That's 865-321-4589. They can give us a call. If for some reason, like right now, I'm out of the office and Jill's out, but they can leave us a message and we'll get back with them. And if we can't help them, we'll try to connect them with somebody that can.
You'll find one thing, but it's Provision Cares Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
By the Provision, the same people that do proton therapy, which I'm a strong believer in.
Mm-hmm.
But they branched off. You explained this a little while ago, but for somebody who just tuned in, they branched off and wanted to start this foundation.
Right, and Provision Cares is a separate not-for-profit. And we were created to help anyone in East Tennessee battling cancer, and that's what we try to do every single day.
Wow. Now, you only do this through donations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's so important because a lot of people think, okay, Provision, big company, they fund this. They don't. This is all funded by people here in East Tennessee. So touch a little bit on how somebody who is impressed by what you do, how they would donate, and also some of the events you have coming.
Sure. Again, people can learn more about Provision Cares at provisioncares.org. They can make an online donation. And really, I don't want anybody out there thinking that we only take large checks, large donations, anything like that. It all adds up, Tom. It costs $6 a day to feed a cancer patient through our Caring Plate program.
And you feed a lot.
Absolutely. We served 11,000 meals last year. And really for $25, that serves 4 meals for a cancer patient. And so, as you mentioned, we do have a critical need for support. And so right now we have the CARES Cancer Challenge that is underway. What that is really a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. We've recruited 12 great people who are volunteering their times, talents, and treasures to ask their friends, their coworkers, their neighbors to make donations to Provision Cares.
Okay.
And so the campaign started a little over 2 weeks ago and raised about $12,000 so far, which is outstanding.
Nice.
Of course, I need to raise about $750,000 this year just to continue doing what we're doing. But we're going to celebrate on Thursday, April 20th at the Knoxville Marriott at an event called the East Tennessee Cancer Impact Awards. And we're thrilled about this event. In addition to awarding the first ever CARES Cancer Challenge champion, we are also going to recognize people in the community, in our region, that have gone above and beyond in the cancer space. And so we touched on one of those companies earlier, Nisus Corporation. They're a private business. They didn't have to start EdiCheck to try to help diagnose prostate cancer for men, but they did. They saw a need in our community, and they started EdiCheck. And so we're honoring the Nisus Corporation. Reluctantly, they're going to accept. They don't do what they do.
Yeah, they're not showboating.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but seeing what they did, they deserve recognition. They have saved lives because of EdiCheck. We're also honoring Dr. Susan Newman. She's an oncologist at UT Medical Center.
Okay.
And she is a great person. I mean, in addition to being a great physician, she saw a gap in the community for her patients at UT Cancer Institute. So she started the L5 Foundation, or the Live 5 Foundation.
Okay.
And their charity supports lots of organizations, including Provision Cares. They're a big believer in our Caring Plate program.
Yeah.
But Dr. Newman, we're going to honor her at this April 20th event. Again, reluctant to be recognized, but I mean, she saves lives every day as an oncologist. And so raising 2 kids, but she saw a need and wanted to make a difference, and she does that. We're also honoring Amy Williamson and Karen Sapp, 2 of the greatest people I've ever met, outstanding volunteers. Anything that we have going on at Provision Cares, they are there.
Wow.
There's a gentleman named Don Denton who's a cancer survivor, went to UT back in the day and has retired to the mountains of Townsend area.
Okay.
And so Don, we're recognizing him as a cancer survivor who has done so much. He wrote a book. People can learn more about that on our website, because proceeds from that book that he developed about his and his wife's cancer story, they feel like they grew closer during that diagnosis. They went to Florida and got treated with proton therapy before the Provision proton therapy opened. But now Don spends a lot of time in Nashville fighting for cancer patients. So he's really been...
He's on the front lines.
He's on the front lines trying to make sure that cancer patients are covered for whatever type of treatment that their physicians have recommended for them. So the April 20th event, it's $125 for tickets at the Knoxville Marriott. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be really a celebration of people that have done so much to make a difference in the lives of so many cancer patients.
How awesome. How awesome. In just in a few minutes, when we come back, I want to talk a lot about the Caring Plate, but also your motivation behind all this. It's fascinating to me. This is all about Provision Cares Foundation. What a big force in this area to help people who are really faced with a struggle, and that's what Dealing with Life, this show is all about. We'll come back in a moment. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, and we'll talk in a minute.
Just hold on to the promises. Hold on to the promises. Jesus is alive, so hold tight. Hold on to the promises.
You're listening to Dealing with Life. So glad to have you along for the ride. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith. And this is a program, if you've never listened before, we feature guests who have gone through struggle, who have gone through difficult issues and found victory. And more than that, they have found a deepened faith. And we also talk with people who have had the call to help others. And that's what today is about. With me in the studio today is Les Fout. He's executive director of the Provision Cares Foundation. What a wonderful thing that we have right in this area who help not only provision patients, but cancer patients in general. You guys do so much through only donations. You've helped, you said a minute ago, you've helped
more than 1,600 families in East Tennessee last year.
Wow. And that's just through the patient's needs we've been talking about a little bit. Something I want to cover, which we haven't touched on much, which is huge, is the caring plate. The caring plate is totally different than the patient's needs assistance thing. Tell me about the caring plate.
The caring plate, a lot of people refer to it as mobile meals for cancer patients.
Okay.
And because most people know mobile meals or
Meals
on Wheels.
Right.
Absolutely. And
Great program.
It is. And we actually partnered in Knoxville with the CAC Office on Aging, which manages the mobile meals program.
Okay.
And instead of us building $1 million kitchen and hiring all that, we hired the experts that already have the kitchen, that already provide food for mobile meals, for the Boys and Girls Club, for churches, for community groups, for senior citizen centers all around East Tennessee. Absolutely. And so, again, we're looking for partnerships. And so we want to create as many efficiencies as we can in what we're trying to do to serve cancer patients throughout East Tennessee. And so what happens at any healthcare provider really in the region, we have 7 formal partnerships, but if someone calls us from one of the other cancer centers, we'll certainly help them as well. There are 3 other cancer centers we work with, but honestly, Tom, we haven't expanded those programs to a couple places because we don't think we can fund that.
You don't have the manpower or the dollars to do that.
We just don't. It's really the dollars. If we had that, it's only $6 a day. But Jill Townsend, as you mentioned earlier, our social worker that really primarily runs the Caring Plate program for us.
Okay.
She works nonstop with families throughout East Tennessee, and so what we do is if a physician's office, whether it's the physician, the nurse navigator, the social worker, every healthcare provider in our region's a little differently, but they have to sign off on and say, yes, John or Jane Doe is battling cancer, had surgery, is getting chemo, proton radiation, whatever it is, and we feel like he or she needs assistance, then they will fax a form to Jill. Jill will then call the patient, learn a little more about them. Sometimes it's a single man or a woman. Sometimes it's a couple. Sometimes it's a child. Obviously, they'd talk to the parents. But sometimes Children's Hospital will refer somebody, and there may be 3 or 4 siblings at home in addition to mom and dad, and we'll provide those meals to them. We will deliver those meals. It's not for when they're in the hospital. This is a daily delivery to people's homes throughout East Tennessee.
Right, after treatment.
Or
during
it could be during treatment if they're going to get chemo or something every day.
And they surely don't feel like cooking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what we realized in our first week of starting this program, it's been about 2.5 years. We've served more than 19,800 meals. I wish we would have served 200 more so I could say 20,000, but nearly 20,000 meals in about 2.5 years. We served about 11,000 last year.
Amazing.
And but it's an outstanding program. And so in addition to the daily delivery of the meals, we might provide Ensure or Boost. We'll provide milk or juice. And as you can imagine, if it's a household of 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, in addition to a single mom or a married couple or something like that, or maybe a grandparent taking care of their grandchild, which happens all the time. They have different needs. And so poor Jill will visit with people in addition to, I say poor Jill because I always say, oh, well, Jill will get a call that somebody doesn't like the broccoli. They want the asparagus or they want the cornbread and not the biscuits. And I say that kind of jokingly, but Jill does deal with very, very difficult issues. We had the cancer patient that we were helping was fine, but her husband passed away. And so, Jill is providing grief counseling to this lady in addition to try to find the resources to help pay for this gentleman's funeral. And so it's
you really step into their lives.
Yeah, and so I joke, but I'm dead serious when I say that there are days that I cry tears of joy and days that I cry tears of sorrow. There is a family right now, and I mentioned this to you before we went on the air.
You just received a text.
Yeah, just
right before
received news, and sometimes it's great news, and sometimes it's not. And this is not. There is a family that lives about an hour from Knoxville that was referred to us from one of our local partners, and she's had cancer. The mom's had cancer several times, and she's over in Nashville now at Vanderbilt, and just found out today that the clinical trial, the experimental trials, whatever that Vanderbilt had her on, didn't work, and the tumor, the cancer has come back. And so, this is a lady that's married, has 4 young children. I've met them. We had a donor that wanted to provide Christmas gifts to any any families that were dealing with cancer that had kids, and so I delivered the meals to this family and met them right before Christmas, just a week before Christmas. And of course, this family, they weren't poor at all. They're, I'd say probably lower middle class family, hardworking, just great people. They just got cursed with getting cancer, and so
and money goes straight to that.
And so we provide them meals every day.
Wow, the whole family,
the whole family. So there's 6 of them, and it just, in my mind, I'm about to start crying because I remember what those kids look like to this day.
Wow.
And so
well, that leads me. What motivates you? Well, I mean, you said you had a great job. And you got this call to do this, and I know that you're the perfect guy for this job because you help raise money, you create awareness, you do so much for the foundation. But why do you do it?
That's a great question. I mentioned earlier I lost a grandmother to cancer. My mom's had cancer. She got it when I was young, and I didn't even know what cancer was. I've had friends lose kids. I've had friends lose siblings, and it's when I got the call, honestly, I wasn't looking for a job. I mean, I got this call and I was like, starting something from scratch.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And so I'm not a medical person.
Uphill battle.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I married an oncology nurse, works at Knoxville Comprehensive Breast Center, and so that's about as close to being a medical professional as I've ever been. And I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and honestly, one of the few people in this world that I would have asked for advice was Grady Bogue, Dr. Grady Bogue, who was my professor at the University of Tennessee, former president at LSU. He was head of the Higher Education Administration program at the University of Tennessee, and Dr. Bogue, I would have asked his advice. But I had lost him a couple of years earlier to cancer. And so I thought about it, and I know for a fact, I feel like I'm doing the Lord's work, even though we're not a necessarily a faith-based charity, if you will.
Sure.
We'll help anybody that's battling cancer, but
It doesn't have to be a faith-based organization in order to do the Lord's work, though, and that's what I think I'm so impressed by.
yeah, I would say it's a journey. I mean, good grief, there are days when I'm thrilled when we get a big donation, and then there are other days when somebody says, "Oh, we're not going to be able to help you this year," and a lot of times, of course, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, okay, well, was there something we did wrong, or
Right.
there, what? And oftentimes it's their business is struggling, their family's struggling. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they've had maybe their child is off to college, and now their financial issues have changed in their life, and
Yeah.
so I think that's probably a lesson for all of us. Things change in our life. All we can do is try to do the best we can every day and serve each other every day and love one another. Kind of put ourselves in other people's shoes. If we, I almost started crying. I'm not going to, Tom. You're not going to make me cry.
Not intending
yeah,
to.
But I just think, goodness, if my wife and I or one of our daughters got cancer and we were struggling, if we needed a gas card to drive up to Cincinnati, would somebody be there to help us?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to help themselves, but some people aren't in a position at that time in their life to do that. And I just think that it's a calling. I wasn't looking for this, and it's tough. We don't get state funding. We don't get federal funding. We don't get local government funding. What we get is from the goodness of people's hearts, whether it's $10 or $10,000. It's all helping.
Well, I think God opened a door for you to say, I need you here. You're good at this. You're good with people. And God said, this is something, yes, it's not church-based. It's not faith-based, but it's help-based. And Jesus has called us to help people, no matter what. And I think this is one way. You answered the call to help, and I pray that people listening answer the call to help you help by donating money to the Provision Cares Foundation. Real quickly, before we take a break, tell us how to donate.
ProvisionCares.org, or people can give us a call at 321-4589.
Awesome. It's Provision Cares Foundation. We'll talk with Les Fout just a little bit more here in just a second. This is Dealing with Life. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, and we'll talk in a minute.
I find you when I fall apart. The voice of truth says, do not be afraid. And the voice of truth says, this is for my glory. I will choose to listen and believe the voice of truth.
You're listening to Dealing with Life. Really happy to have you along. I'm Tom Baker, author of One Dog's Faith, a book about life, trust, and worry through the eyes of a dog. If you're interested, it's at onedogsfaith.com or on Amazon, One Dog's Faith. If you're a dog lover or a worrier or both, that's for you. In the studio with me today, Executive Director of Provision Cares Foundation, Les Fout. Really terrific things that you've told us about what Provision Cares Foundation does. List real quickly, for those who've missed it, what in general do you do?
We provide various programs for early detection, health and wellness programs. We fund some research, and then our big programs are our patient assistance, whether that's EdiCheck, whether it's patient needs assistance, the caring plate. We've got a supplement program, and then, of course, this last year we started the CARES Christmas gift basket program.
Oh, that's new. I didn't see that on your website.
Absolutely.
The gift baskets.
It is. A couple of days before Thanksgiving, I was visiting with a donor who said that their church provided gift baskets to people and asked if we did something like that. And I said, no, we haven't. I had some thoughts about it. There are some local, regional, and national charities that do different types of gift baskets in different ways. And they said, well, you know what? I want to help you get this program going if you can pull it off. Well, I thought it was a great idea. And so what's different about our gift baskets is we provided personal care items, whether it's toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, paper towels, that kind of stuff.
Oh my. Okay.
In addition to food, the non-perishable items, whether it's soup or peanut butter or instant potatoes, something like that, in addition to gift cards. And
these are for cancer patients.
These are for cancer patients.
That aren't just provision.
Right, absolutely. From 7 different cancer facilities. We delivered 63 different gift baskets a couple of weeks right before Christmas.
Oh,
and
nice.
so it was really a blessing. What's interesting, just real quick, we had one of the nurses told me that they were visiting with a patient. And we partner very closely with these different healthcare providers because we don't have just a couple of staff people, and so we rely on these healthcare providers to help us disseminate information, distribute some of our program materials, and so they handed this patient this gift basket. And later on, when the X-rays came back or MRI, whatever it was, they said, you need to go to the hospital right away. So literally, this family lived about an hour away from Knoxville. They drove to whatever healthcare provider, to the hospital,
Right.
and was put in the hospital for a couple of nights. Well, it just so happened that on the way out, they were saying, I don't have anything. I don't have a change of clothes. I don't have toothbrush, toothpaste. And the nurse said, in your gift basket, there are toothbrushes and toothpaste for your entire family.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting, the timing of that.
That's
but,
God's timing, yes.
Yeah, and so those gift baskets really made a difference for people. For lots of us, I mean, I'm blessed. I'm a solid middle class citizen.
Yeah.
Married a nurse, but there are a lot of people listening, hopefully, that are equally as blessed. And but there are a lot of people that just need a little help, and so toothbrush and toothpaste and toilet paper and peanut butter, that can really make a difference for a struggling family.
Absolutely. It's the Provision Cares Foundation. You guys help people with cancer, and it's all over this region, and what a blessing it is for you to give your time, your energy, your along with Jill, your social worker, really offer your lives to those who are in trouble. People who have had that diagnosis of cancer, how scary that is. But to have Provision Cares be there to help with some of the things that people go, well, how am I going to do this? I mean, it's scary, not only for your health, but for your finances and for those things. Once again, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure.
And real quickly, once again, if somebody wants to donate to the Provision Cares Foundation, it's strictly nonprofit, and it's strictly by donations from people in our area. How do they do that?
ProvisionCares.org. That's provision, CARES.org. Or they can find us on Facebook or Twitter, and then they can also give us a call at 321-4589.
You have an event going on in September. What is that?
Well, we have Eddie Check that's going on in September.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie
September 14th and 15th, Eddie Check, and that's the early detection for men.
And the dinner that's going on at the Marriott?
Right, that's April 20th.
Okay.
And they can get all that information on provisioncares.org or online at Facebook and Twitter.
Les Fout, Executive Director of the Provision Cares Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Dealing with Life. We do this every week at this time. I'm Tome Baker, author of One Dog's Faith. I pray that you have found inspiration and hope today through this show, and I also pray that you see God's hand in your life. He is there, and He is helping. Reach out and see the glory that He has to offer you. God bless you.
You speak